When betrayal and abandonment almost destroyed our lives, we found love and strength to start over. I never imagined a trip could turn my life upside down. My name is Julia, and I was so excited, planning happy moments with my husband, Pedro, and his parents, Tomas and Alana, when everything fell apart. At the airport, my intuition screamed that something was wrong, but nothing prepared me for the shock. Pedro's ex-wife, Gina, showed up with the 2 children he had during his betrayal. My heart raced, a mixture of anger, disbelief, and fear. Pedro stood paralyzed, and his parents, strangely neutral, just watched. I felt the ground disappear from under my feet. I wanted to scream, cry, run away, but I couldn't. It was as if the entire past had come back to haunt us in that instant. That trip, which was supposed to be a celebration of our union, became the first real test of our marriage. Every fiber of my being screamed for us to make an immediate decision. We decided to cancel their part of the trip and continue on just the 2 of us. During the flight, Pedro barely spoke. I felt his every thought running through my mind. The chill of the night outside seemed to reflect the coldness we felt from his parents. All the trust I had in his family crumbled. I remembered all the times he had confided in me about his pain, trusting in Tomas and Alana's support. Suddenly, we realized they had chosen his ex-wife's side, and that their neutrality was, in fact, complicity. My body felt heavy, my hands numb, my chest tight. We needed to decide how we would react, but each decision seemed impossible. Fear and anger paralyzed me, and yet, there was a thread of courage insisting we not give up. It was then that I realized our union would be tested intensely and immediately. When we got home, the silence between us spoke louder than any words. Pedro was lost, and I felt my own anger and frustration burning inside. Every reminder of trust felt like a blow to my chest. The feeling of double betrayal, by Pedro's past and by his parents' coldness, was suffocating. I cried alone, feeling the tension in my stomach and my heart racing. The fear of losing our marriage made me tremble. The physical and emotional pain mingled. Tense shoulders, cold hands, shallow breaths. That night defined the first major decision of our future. We would need to protect our relationship, even if it meant cutting ties. I felt like we were surrounded by poison, and every attempt to take a deep breath only reinforced the knot in my chest. We needed to prepare ourselves for a path of rebuilding that would require courage and unity. In the days that followed, we discovered details that tore us apart even more. Tomas and Alana not only approved of Gina's betrayal, but they were always there for her when Pedro needed them most. He was paralyzed when he realized he'd been abandoned. I felt my body react, tension in my shoulders, dry mouth, trembling hands. The internal struggle was constant between anger, fear, and the need to protect our marriage. I realized we were on an emotional island, with no one around us who could trust us. But that reality also united us. Each silent conversation, each gesture of mutual support, began to build a small emotional fortress. I breathed deeply, feeling the tension ease little by little. Each step was painful, but it strengthened us. I learned that facing the pain together was the only way to avoid losing each other. Years later, Tomas revealed that Pedro wasn't his biological son. The news hit like a bolt of lightning. Reliving everything we'd been through seemed inevitable. Betrayal, abandonment, lies. My heart sank, my breath short, my hands cold. Pedro was in shock, and I tried to hug him, but even that didn't seem enough. The revelation, which could have been another blow, ended up strengthening us. We realized that what truly mattered was the life we'd built together, the love we felt, and our decision to stay away from those who hurt us. It was the beginning of conscious reconstruction. The pain was still there, but now there was a light at the end of the tunnel. The 2 of us together could overcome any wound and protect our family, creating something no one could ever destroy. In the months that followed, Pedro and I closed ourselves off, searching for normalcy amidst the open wounds. Each step felt painful, like walking over sharp rocks, but little by little, we felt our strength grow. We slept poorly, exhausted, but a small flame of hope kept us going. I remembered nights alone, crying in the bathroom or in the car, trying to control my tears, while feeling the chill of anxiety course through my body. Pedro, despite his own pain, held my hand, and silently, we shared the weight of the situation. We began to realize that even if the world betrayed us, we had each other. Every hug, every sincere word reminded us that we were strong together. Slowly, we transformed the pain into mutual support, learning that open and honest communication could be the anchor for our marriage. Every act of care became a brick in the reconstruction of our lives. During one of those silent nights, we realized we needed to look to the future without letting the past dominate us. We decided to walk away from the people who had harmed us, not out of anger, but to protect our peace. My body reacted with tension and, at the same time, a strange sense of relief and courage. Pedro held my hands, and, without words, we understood that we were choosing our own path. We planned small routines, outings, and meals as small acts of rebuilding. Gradually, anger gave way to love, and the suffocating feeling of abandonment began to subside. We discovered that each act of care strengthened our bond, showing that, even in the face of trauma, it was possible to find emotional stability. We felt a new energy coursing through our bodies, our chests light, our breathing deep, our hands warm. We learned that rebuilding isn't easy, but every step is worth it when taken with intention and love. There were still deep doubts and fears. I wondered if Pedro would be able to overcome his parents' hurt, and if I would be able to maintain faith in love after so many disappointments. There were days of anxiety, nights when I woke up in a cold sweat, reliving the airport and Tomas and Alana's cold stares. But along with the fear, a growing strength emerged. I realized that giving up was not an option. We wanted to protect our story and our future. I began writing, organizing my thoughts, venting to friends and Pedro about each frustration. This honesty brought us together, allowing vulnerability to become strength. Each difficult night, each shared tear, was an emotional cleansing. I felt my chest heavy, shoulders tense, but also a physical hope. Arms relaxing, breathing deep. It was painful, but liberating. Slowly, we learned to transform anxiety and fear into care and attention, building a solid foundation for what was to come. In the midst of this process, we received the news that we were expecting a baby. The mix of joy and fear was immediate. My heart raced, my hands trembled, my breath shallowed, but at the same time, I felt an intense and unexpected happiness. Pedro and I looked at each other without needing words, understanding that this life renewed our hope. Every movement of the baby seemed to tell us, "You can do it." Pregnancy forced us to focus on the present, to protect our family, and to create a safe environment. Small daily gestures became victories. Planning the nursery, feeling the first kicks, talking with love and attention. The anxiety was still present, but the motivation was greater. Our bond strengthened like never before, and each challenge became an opportunity for growth. Our bodies reacted intensely. Warmth in our hands, a racing heart, tense muscles, but also renewed energy and courage. Pregnancy taught us to deal with trauma in a practical and present way. Every doctor's appointment, every decision about the future, brought us closer and stronger. Feeling life growing inside me, with Pedro by my side, was transformative. My body responded, tight chest, deep breathing, trembling hands, but also warmth and hope. We learned to share responsibilities, to deal with anxiety and fear, to support each other. Each challenge was a test of patience and resilience. What once seemed impossible now became everyday life, building a life together, protecting our family, and transforming pain into strength. Each act of love was a silent victory, yet physical and emotional. We realized that even after betrayal and abandonment, it was possible to create something safe, real, and lasting. The feeling of rebuilding filled every fiber of our bodies, every breath, every heartbeat. During my pregnancy, I realized the past still haunted us. Memories of Tomas and Alana's abandonment, betrayal, and coldness would surface. Unexpectedly, tightening my chest and quickening my breathing. Some nights, I would wake in the dark, hands cold, heart racing, reliving the airport, Gina's stares, and Pedro's parents' contempt. But there was a growing strength within me, remembering that our family now consisted of the two of us and the life growing inside me. Talking to Pedro about our fears and insecurities became essential. Every word, every shared tear, strengthened the bond between us. We learned that admitting vulnerability doesn't weaken us, but empowers us. I felt my body respond, shoulders relaxing, breathing deep, hands warm. Each day was a step in rebuilding our lives, and pregnancy became our guide to creating a safe and loving future. There were times when insecurity felt overwhelming. I questioned whether we could truly maintain our distance from those who had hurt us, whether we would be able to raise our son in a healthy and protected environment. Each contraction of fear came with an intense physical sensation, a racing heart, a tight stomach, trembling hands. Pedro felt the effects too. Sometimes he would fall silent, breathing deeply, lost in thought, and I needed to learn to wait and support him without pressuring him. We discovered that honest and patient communication was our greatest weapon. Each difficult night, each tear and outburst united us, showing that overcoming was possible. We felt our bodies reacting together, shoulders relaxing, hands intertwining, breathing synchronized. The rebuilding wasn't linear, but each step, each conscious choice, brought us closer to the peace we sought and strengthened our growing family. The revelation that Pedro wasn't Tomas's biological son brought new waves of emotion. While devastating, it also made us realize that bonds aren't measured by blood alone. Pedro reacted with silence and deep breathing. I felt my body tense, my hands cold, my heart racing, but I knew the foundation of who we were was intact. Tomas's love and care, even if not biological, had shaped Pedro, and this truth brought a strange sense of relief. We both realized that none of this changed our reality. We were building our own family and our own story. Our bodies reacted physically, alternating tension and release, trembling hands and comforting squeezes. Every supportive gesture and every hug strengthened our bond. This experience taught us that true fatherhood and protection come from conscious love, not just DNA, and this gave us even more strength to move forward. When we finally began to look to the future, we felt real hope. Every decision began to be made carefully, every gesture filled with intention and protection. Pedro and I realized we were creating an emotional fortress, a safe space away from any toxic influences. I felt my body respond with physical sensations of relief and confidence, muscles relaxing, deep breathing, a steady heartbeat. Small, everyday acts, like planning the baby's room, talking about routine, and sharing tasks, became silent but powerful victories. Pregnancy brought us even closer together, and anxiety gave way to a sense of achievement and purpose. We learned that every step, however small, was essential to rebuilding our lives and preparing the way for our daughter's arrival. Every gesture of care and attention reinforced that we were creating something solid, based on mutual love and respect. Feeling the baby's first movements was transformative. Each kick was a physical reminder of hope and renewal. I cried, feeling my body react, my chest tight, my hands trembling, my breathing irregular, but also an intense joy that permeated every cell. Pedro cried along with me, holding my hand, his eyes welling up. In that moment, we realized that everything we had been through had prepared us for this new life. Every previous challenge, every wound, every disappointment had been transformed into strength. We learned that hope can be physical, emotional, and spiritual all at once. Each movement of the baby reinforced the certainty that we could overcome the past, protect our family, and create something genuine. The feeling was one of victory and peace simultaneously, a recognition that, despite all the pain, we were ready to move forward together, strengthened and resilient. The birth of our daughter was a whirlwind of emotions. I felt intense pain, continuous contractions, extreme exhaustion, but also adrenaline and joy that coursed through every fiber of my body. Pedro held my hand tightly, breathing along with me, crying silently. When I heard her first cry, I felt a mixture of relief, ecstasy, and gratitude that brought me to tears. My body was exhausted, but my mind was clear. We had survived, rebuilt our lives, and created something genuine. Every hug and touch between the three of us reinforced that the strength we had developed together was real. My chest tightened, my breath deepened, my hands trembled, my heart raced. For the first time, I realized the past no longer held power. Pain transformed into love, anxiety into hope, and betrayal and abandonment gave way to care, protection, and joy. Our daughter was living proof that we had overcome. In the days that followed, the intense postpartum routine tested our patience and resilience. Every feeding, cry, or sleepless night forced us to work as a team, trust each other, and transform challenges into learning experiences. My body felt tired, muscles tense, eyes burning, with sleep, but our daughter's smile brought energy. Pedro took on responsibilities, held our daughter, helped with everything, and every gesture reinforced our bond. We learned to share tasks, deal with frustrations, and appreciate small moments. Every touch, every care, every kind word was a silent victory. Anxiety still lingered, but it no longer dominated our decisions. We felt our bodies reacting together, synchronized breathing, hands intertwined, hearts racing and then relaxing. Each challenge overcome brought us closer and stronger, proving that even after trauma, abandonment, and betrayal, we were capable of creating a united and protected family. The distance we chose from those who had harmed us proved essential. It was difficult and painful, but liberating. Pedro and I realized that establishing clear boundaries was the only way to protect our peace and our daughter's safety. My body felt light, my shoulders relaxed, my breathing deeper, each conscious decision to not allow toxic people to influence our lives strengthened our emotional autonomy. I learned that peace comes from consistent choices, that rebuilding requires courage and patience. Each hug, each touch, each word of support was a silent but palpable victory. We discovered that despite all the pain and betrayal, we could create a safe, loving, and happy environment. The physical sensation of this rebuilding was intense. A warm chest, trembling hands, deep and steady breathing, a steady heartbeat. We learned to transform scars into strength and love. Over time, we were able to look at the past with more lightness. Memories of betrayal and abandonment still surfaced, but they no longer paralyzed us. My body reacted with a mixture of tension and relief, trembling hands that gradually warmed, a tight chest that relaxed with each gesture of affection between us. Pedro shared his memories, and together we transformed pain into learning, hurt into care. Every conversation, every hug, every gesture of attention strengthened our bond and reminded us that we were building our own story, far from the influence of those who had harmed us. We learned that overcoming is continuous, but possible. Every step, every act of love and care for our daughter, every moment of real presence reinforced the certainty that we had overcome. The physical sensation was tangible. Warmth in the chest, warm hands, deep breathing, muscles relaxing, our entire body participating in the healing process. The arrival of our daughter symbolized a new beginning. Every tear, every smile, every touch was proof that we had managed to rebuild our lives. Fear still crept in at times, but it didn't paralyze us. It was simply a reminder that we had survived and grown together. I felt my body vibrate with joy, my heart racing, my breath deep, my hands trembling with emotion. Pedro was by my side, and our daughter between us, completing the feeling of victory and security. Every gesture, every look, every laugh reinforced that true love and resilience can overcome any trauma. I learned that happiness doesn't mean the absence of pain, but the ability to choose peace and love despite it. Every shared breath, every touch, every caress reinforced that together we were invincible, that we had rebuilt our lives and created something solid, pure, and genuine. Today, looking back, I see that all the pain, betrayal, and abandonment taught us something greater, that true family is built on love, care, and respect, not just blood ties. I feel my body react to each memory, warmth in my chest, trembling hands, deep breathing. Pedro and I learned that, despite everything, we can choose happiness and peace. Every gesture of affection, every smile from our daughter, reinforces that we can survive and rebuild our lives. I learned that overcoming is not linear. There are ups and downs, but each conscious step brings us closer to balance. I discovered that we can transform wounds into strength, hurt into care, and abandonment into unity. Every touch, hug, or shared glance is a silent but powerful victory, reminding us that we are capable of overcoming any challenge together. Even with all the suffering we've faced, I feel profound gratitude. I've learned that pain doesn't define our future, but rather prepares us to face challenges with courage and empathy. Pedro and I feel our bodies respond. Deeper breathing, muscles relaxing, hearts racing with emotion. Each decision to distance ourselves from those who have harmed us has strengthened our emotional autonomy. Life can still bring fears and uncertainties, but now we have the tools to face them. I've discovered that creating clear boundaries and protecting our family is an act of love. Every moment of care, attention, and genuine presence with our daughter reinforces that it's possible to transform pain into something positive. Feeling our little one among us is a feeling that all the battles were worth it, that we survived, and that we can grow even after the storm. Motherhood and fatherhood taught us resilience and patience. Every morning waking up with our daughter, every cry and every smile became part of rebuilding our lives. I felt my body react, tired eyes, trembling hands, a tight chest, but also a warmth of accomplishment that filled every cell. Pedro actively participated, sharing tasks, supporting us, holding our hands, breathing with me. Each gesture reinforced that love built with care and dedication is capable of overcoming any emotional wound. We learned to transform frustration and fear into attention and affection. Each challenge became an opportunity to grow as a couple and family. I realized that overcoming adversity manifests itself both emotionally and physically. Tension dissolves, breathing calms, and the heart warms. All of this shows that rebuilding is possible, even after deep pain and complex trauma. In moments of silence, we reflect on everything we've been through and feel a quiet peace. I've learned that life can teach us hard but also rewarding lessons. Feeling our bodies react to the present, chest tight with emotion, hands warm, breathing deeply, is a feeling of victory over the past. Pedro and I realized that conscious love, mutual care, and patience are the foundation for facing any difficulty. Our daughter is a living symbol that we can rebuild something solid and true. The scars haven't disappeared, but now they're reminders that we can overcome. I've learned that happiness doesn't depend on the absence of pain, but on the choice to focus on what builds, protects, and strengthens. Every hug, every touch, every laugh reinforces that we can be happy, even after betrayal and abandonment. Today, we are a small but strong family. I've learned that what truly matters isn't biological ties, but love, care, and genuine presence. I feel my body react, deep breathing, warm hands, a racing heart, a tight chest with emotion. Pedro and I have created something solid, protected, and full of hope. Every loving gesture and every smile from our daughter reinforces that we can overcome. I've discovered that peace and happiness depend on the choices we make each day, on caring for those we love, and on the courage to leave behind those who have harmed us. Life still brings challenges, but now we are ready, strengthened, and united. I've learned that overcoming doesn't mean forgetting, but transforming pain into strength, love, and protection. Our story is proof that even after so many wounds, we can start over and be happy.